Arnold Feather, Vera Collins, the Sutcliffes, and the pantyhose strangler.
Oh my God!
Where are they now? They're with us right after the break. Number 96 was number 1 when it came to breaking the rules. From busty Bev Horton to bed-hopping fashion designer Vera Collins.
Come on, up.
Our eyebrows went up as the pants came down.
What the hell's this?
Dudley Butterfield and Dom Finlayson were our first on-screen gay couple.
I thought you knew.
What?
I'm homosexual.
Even the intrigue was kind of sexy.
Oh, my God.
The devious knicker stepper was followed by the pantyhose strangler. Then the mad bomber nearly ended it all.
6 o'clock.
It gave Dorrie Evans plenty to gossip about
And well, you might ask.
and kept young Arnold Feather on his
The
toes.
door! Close the door!
The series began in 1972, and by the time it ended in 1977, Australia was a very different place. Number 96 had helped to take us there. OK, this is a very special moment for us. We've scoured the country for these guys, and finally we've got them all back together in the same room at the same time.
Please welcome the stars of number 96, Jeff Kevin.
Sheila Kennelly.
Elaine.
James Elliot.
Elizabeth Kirkby.
Francis Hargreaves.
And the pantyhose strangler, Chantal Contouri.
Well, welcome everyone. It's great to see you. Now, Elaine,
Yes.
take us back. That first night when Australia lost its so-called virginity, number 96 hit the screens. Was it that shocking?
Yes, it was. Even I was shocked, and I was in it. No, it was a really strange first night because the anticipation had been enormous. I mean, I really think the whole of Australia had sat down to watch that initial episode. My late ex-husband and I sat down with my mother, who'd come out specially from South Africa to see it, and we sat there with great anticipation. And this terrible hush descended on the flat, and we just sat there. And I watched it to the end, and not a soul said a word. Not a word. And I got up and I thought, oh, God, that's the worst thing I've ever seen, and I'm in it. But my husband was very sweet. He said, don't worry, darling. And my mum said, you go to bed, sweetheart. Because I had to be on 7 o'clock call the next morning, you see. And I got to bed and I was a few little tears, and I thought, oh, pull yourself together. You've been in flops before. You'll ride this one out. You'll survive it. Don't worry about it. So I hurtled down to the studio in the morning, feeling a little bit down and depressed. And everybody was so upbeat and over the moon, and I thought, I feel as if I'm on another planet. And they'd got quick word of the ratings, as the managements do, and they were over the moon. And I was working as a waitress at the time, and I didn't give up my day job, I can tell you.
Jeff, you played Arnold Feather. Now, you could probably describe him as a little dorky, maybe a little insecure at times, but he was never short of a love interest.
He was never short of love interest, and I think really what it was because he was an orphan. I don't know whether you actually realise this, but Arnold never had parents. He just emerged, probably from an egg, but he just emerged. And I think, in a sense, he really appealed to the maternal instinct in a lot of women.
OK.
And yeah, so that's why I think he's one of the reasons he was popular.
I think it was his wooden leg myself.
Was that after I grew it back, Elaine?
Well, no doubt Arnold might have been popular with the ladies, but sometimes he just didn't measure up between the sheets. Let's take a look.
Arnold, there's no rush. He's still at the airport. We have at least 20 minutes.
Oh, no, Mrs. Carlton, I must get away. He mustn't find me here. I must fly.
Whatever you say, I'll call you a taxi.
Oh, yes, please, if you would be so kind. Do you think it will come quickly?
Well, if the rest of the evening is anything to go by, it should be here before you've got your tie on.
Now, Elaine, you all seem to get your gear off at some stage or another. Vera was always getting her gear off. Did you have a nudity clause in your contract saying you had to do it?
Yes, we did, and in my naivety, I signed it. But honestly, thinking I'll never have to do it. I mean, there was Abigail, there was Robin Gurney, there was Rose Godolphus. I mean, there were some lovely girls in, and I thought, oh, they never... So I went... We used to get our scripts about 2 weeks in advance, and I got the script, and it says, Harry tears Vera's night dress off, throws her on the bed and rapes her. And I thought, oh, God. I just couldn't believe it. I was in a catatonic state. I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. And Norman Yem, who played my then husband, I had this it wasn't a terribly glamorous night dress, but it had Velcro straps so that when he ripped her, it went and it just came off, and then he would pick me up and throw me up on the bed. As soon as the Velcro came down, I leapt onto the bed, tried to hold my boobs, and Bill said, no, cut, honey, you look too eager. Oh, God. But I never, ever got used to it. I hated every nude scene that I ever did.
Sheila, you played bubbly barmaid Norma Whittaker.
Yes.
Did you ever have any reservations about taking on the role?
Yes, because the show was so shocking, and I thought I was going to be a serious actress, you see, and I'd already done plays by Arthur Miller and Bertolt Brecht, you see, and I thought, oh, no, I can't be in that. I won't sign the nudity clause, which I didn't, and Bill got his own back with that, because he then had me painted nude, and I wouldn't even pose nude, and Eunice Dwyer, the wonderful artist at Channel 10, said to me, won't you at least take the caftan off and pose in your undies? And I said, no, Eunice, there could be photos get out, and I'm not having any of that nonsense. So I was so pleased because she had to make up my body, and she gave me a much nicer body than I've really got.
You, in fact, disguised yourself too, didn't you?
Yes, I did disguise myself. I said to my agent, I really don't want to be associated with this show, but I do need the money for the farm. And so I said, I'm playing a barmaid, so I'm going to see if they'll let me wear a blonde wig. So they did, of course. And I thought, that'll hide the real Sheila, the serious actress beneath.
But Norma was very, very popular. Did you ever find that people sort of, I guess, confused the two of you?
Oh, terribly. I was in the newsagent at Morisset one day. I live in the country on a farm. And there were these two women discussing, everywhere you went, they were discussing the last night's show. And one said, what had happened in the storyline was Norma had a phantom pregnancy. And then she discovered it was a phantom, and she was very upset. And one lady said to the other, oh, it's a shame Norma lost that baby. And the friend said to her, oh, I knew she'd never carry that baby full term. And the first one said, why is that, dear? And she said, well, she's been riding around on a tractor up on the farm. I saw a picture of her in Woman's Day. She'd never carry it.
But it was really interesting, a lot of the episode, because James and Elisabeth, you played Alf and Lucy, and while there were huge ratings for weddings and things like that, one of the highest rating episodes was when you got breast cancer. Yep. Which I find really interesting. People just love the characters so much.
It was on the Friday night episode that Jim and I had the scene when I was in bed in the hospital and I was waiting for the results. But of course, that was going to be on Monday night, so the audience was left in suspense over the weekend. And it had, in fact, at that time, I gather, the same effect on the audience as what happened with Kylie Minogue. Dozens and dozens of women then went to their doctors to be tested to make sure that they didn't have breast cancer.
That's terrific.
James, you must have been also very proud of the episode, the breast cancer episode.
Oh, yes, because I discovered for the first time that this was one of the issues that would be discussed on television today, but at that time, it never was talked about.
Now, the McDonald family was a pretty crazy bunch. Frances, you played the daughter Marilyn.
Yep.
What was that like, and having Mummy and Daddy on the show?
Well, they were nuts. So the daughter had to be nuts as well. Edie was a bit of a tippler. She liked the gin.
but you were only 19 when you started at number 96. Yeah. You played with some great actors, Pat McDonald,
Bunny Brooke.
Yep. What was it like? Were they a great help to you?
It was just going into a cast like that of so many professional people, and I was absolutely green. So I learned so much from these people. It was just brilliant.
Now, one of the most popular storylines on number 96, though, was the pantyhose strangler. We all waited with bated breath to find out who it was. We're just going to have a little look.
Michael? Oh, my God! It's you! No, please, Tracy! I'll do anything for you! Please!
Chantal, I was shocked. I didn't pick you at all when you came through that door.
I didn't either.
Well, I was going to say,
I did not know.
It was planned for you at all?
No, we were kept in the dark. Perhaps the more regular cast members knew, but I didn't know till the day we were doing it. In fact, Francis and I were betting who would it be.
So did any of you know?
We didn't know.
No, it was a big secret.
The absolute truth of it was they didn't know who to make the pantyhose murderer.
And I found out only 10 years ago, in fact, from David Sale, the head writer, that they absolutely loathed my character, Tracy Wilson. She was so boring. He said that's why they made her the pantyhose murderer. And the day that it was on, I had forgotten about it, and I was walking down the street from the supermarket. I had this busload of kids pelting me with their bags, with their books, everything they could find. The pantyhose murderer, the pantyhose murderer. I just couldn't believe it, that it had such an effect, because people waited such a long time. And in fact, at the time, I was living next to the future Prime Minister. And he didn't know I was the pantyhose strangler either, because I was babysitting for him. That was John Howard.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Really?
You were John Howard's babysitter?
Yes, the pantyhose strangler. Yes, he was living next door to me.
Wow, you can see John and Jeanette sitting in the lodge now, looking at each other. Did you know she was on number 96? No, did you? She was a strangler. She's looking after my kids.
Melanie, wasn't it? Yes, she was. They were a very sweet couple. They were.
Please stay with us and everyone at home, because up next we've got a huge surprise for the cast of number 96.
After more than 30 years, we reunite them with two of the show's biggest stars. Don't go away.